We are live. Theme song?
Yeah, let's call the meeting order. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second that.
Second. Discussion?
Can I ask about items that were asked to be added to the agenda?
I don't know of any of those. Do you, Mary?
I know there were at least 3 parents that requested to have.
Did they send the information?
I emailed you and Mary.
I didn't get
The email address that was on the website.
it. I didn't get it. But
Yeah, so one of the things that did I email back?
No.
There were parents, before we go into public comment, I will just tell you that we're gonna have a parent meeting on Monday night at 5 o'clock to talk about, I know there's different concerns, especially with quarantining and contact tracing and all of that. So I'm going to listen and make sure that we can do all of that. As far as the board agenda, that is the board agenda that is set forth here.
Can that be added to the agenda for tonight, an open discussion?
I don't know what the question is, so I wouldn't.
It's open discussion on the quarantine rules.
I think that's why she wanted to have a separate meeting, so you have open discussion time for that, because with the school board agenda, regulations or protocol is not that. It's usually, that would be a separate meeting, so you can go through everything and have more time. That's why when we do the 2 minutes for everybody, it allows everybody to have an opportunity to talk, and we don't want to be here till 10 o'clock at night.
I don't know if these are normal situations or times. I think
Well,
we need to take that into consideration as a board.
I'm not disagreeing with you, and that's why she set up this meeting.
Board meetings tonight.
No, but this meeting will give you more opportunity to discuss what you want to discuss.
We asked these questions at the last board meeting. Nobody was willing to answer them then. That's why we asked for the board to discuss it tonight and have the school nurse present.
I'm sorry, I didn't, seriously, honest with you.
I wasn't the only one that made the request, so I know that it wasn't just one person it was made to.
I didn't get an email, to be honest with you.
I think it'd be a lot easier as a board member if we had a proposal and not just open floor and us wing some ideas out. That's why it'd be good to form a plan. And then that's, as board members, we vote.
Well, the proposal was out. The proposal was given to you guys. I asked at the last board meeting what the quarantine policy was, if somebody could clarify.
Well, we
Some
have
people
that
kind of
by,
feel,
we have that by Minnesota Health and CDC.
but that's not what's being followed. When we asked questions that night, nobody would address it. Nobody knew what the guidelines were. Mary called me afterwards. We had a conversation, and she still kind of referred to the school nurse without knowing what it was. And policies are changing.
Every day almost.
Well, it's different for every kid. It's not being followed to what it says on the CDC site.
That is something that I can ask her, 5 o'clock, if she can attend that. I'm not sure. I haven't asked. I just wanted to gather the feedback first of what we need first.
We do, however, have a bunch of people, as you can see, that made a point to come tonight for that purpose and might not be able to make it Monday.
Yep. So then this would be your time to have public comment then, and we'll listen.
I mean, that's the whole purpose of public comment. The reason we don't answer during the public comment, because there's questions that it's not like you gave us a list of questions that you guys are all asking tonight. I mean, did somebody send a list of questions you guys would each take a turn and ask? Because for us, it's hard to answer a question unless we know it ahead of time, because I don't know all the policies, I don't know all the rules, I don't know what Minnesota keeps sending us, because we get things all the time from COVID. It's almost every day. Yes?
I guess I didn't personally send out the request to be on the agenda, but it was my understanding that that's kind of what that would be. Asking to be on the agenda and explaining what exactly the information is that we're looking for.
Yeah, but then, again, so if you have a list of questions that you're gonna ask and you want answers from us tonight, is that what you're saying?
Well, I guess maybe if you guys wanna just let us know, just going forward, what the procedure is. 'Cause we were kind of unclear.
Normal policy at a board meeting is we give you an opportunity to ask a question, okay? And it's not, at a meeting, we cannot answer the question because it's not
Sure.
like, it's not fair to us not knowing what you're gonna ask. So that's why Mary and I talked earlier, and she said she's gonna have a meeting specifically for this, so you guys can have time to sit down, and then hopefully, instead of just bombarding us with questions, you come with a list of questions, these are the questions we have, and maybe giving them to her earlier, so maybe she can give them to the nurse, and so they have answers if that's what you're looking for. Because if you ask me a question tonight about a policy or what we're doing with COVID or changes and all that stuff, personally, I don't have a list of documents.
But you'll certainly be able to get the answer and come back to us.
We can get the answer.
So if we express that and it could be on the agenda tonight to have more than the 2 minutes
That's what.
they've been allowing, and that's all we're asking for, is to bring those questions to you so you can do the research, find out for yourself what it actually is for our school.
So you're
And
asking
come back
for
to us.
more than 1 minute, 2 minutes is what you're saying. You're not
Absolutely.
asking for answers tonight, you're just asking for more than what time.
We want you to know what we're concerned with.
I thought that's what you guys have done the last 2 meetings.
And here we are again 2 weeks later without an answer that we did ask at the last meeting.
Can I
Several
just-
times. So, and according to what we read by the guidelines of the school board, you can approve an agenda item tonight to be added.
Did you, what were you gonna say?
Well, I was just gonna say, because I know what the situation is, right? Because every situation is different. If I'm sitting by him or we're across the table and in every situation, so I know that there's lots of questions and answers, and I know it's a lot with the close contact and quarantine. But we wouldn't be able to, every single situation is different. If we don't know the answers, we go to the county. If the county doesn't know the answers, we go to the state, and we follow those guidelines. Like, okay, so here's the situation. It's no different than anything. So that's what Tom's trying to say, is that question and answer, right? We don't always know. And like, even when people ask me, like, well, I'll have to refer to Deb because I didn't personally do the contact tracing. I don't know who was sitting by who or who was at whose friend's house. I don't know any of that. That's not my role. So every situation is different. The guidance that he's pointed out is the guidance that we're following. And we can't say to you that Susie was here and this is why, or we can't do that. That's data privacy. So it becomes very, very difficult. But we have to trust our professionals. We have to trust Deb. She is doing a fantastic job. I have worked in 5 different school districts, and she is a top nurse, and we're so blessed to have her. So if that's why I think there's concerns or things that we want to change, like we said, whatever, we can have those discussions. But I agree with you we need to come with a proposal, because the board is here to make those decisions, propose on what our needs are.
Chair Stillman, so to meet in the middle, is it possible to, following Monday, to schedule a special meeting specifically, since this is a very hot topic? That where we'd actually have a proposal or a number of proposals to vote on, and then they can be attended by the public. Obviously, because we have how many, 3 weeks until our next scheduled?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. But obviously it's urgent. So, is it possible that we gather this information, we get some proposals, and then we can vote as a board, on a special, I know I would be willing to attend a special meeting.
Yeah, we can set up a special meeting specifically, and that's kind of what I was waiting on, is like when we talked about it, she had set up a meeting for this Monday coming up. I thought that is where we get the information, and at that time, she would call and say, we need to set up a special meeting with everybody again, and give you, allocate time, or have, this is a list of questions and concerns. Because I'm assuming everybody here may have the same questions and the same concerns.
But not
I don't know.
everybody's invited to that meeting.
Huh?
Not everybody's
No, it's open to
invited
the
that
public.
meeting.
No, it's open to the public on
I
Monday.
wasn't told about it. I know who got the email, but I know I didn't get the email.
And it's
even
not
though
an entire
I know
COVID
you have my
committee
phone
because
number
it's
and
only
email address.
going to be a parent group.
Right,
is what we've
well,
been told.
the reason we did that.
So it's not a full COVID
Well,
committee.
the reason we did, and I don't know if you're inviting other people as far as teachers or anybody else to that meeting.
No, because the last meeting, we talked about having it be in the evening. And then now if we ask it to be in the evening, we're asking the teachers to be out of their contract day. So I was trying to appease that we're coming up.
Because I thought last time you guys were asking for a time for you guys to talk. basically you guys wanted time for discussion and, you know, to go over.
We want to be a part of the meeting, the members of the COVID committee. That's what,
Yeah,
at
she
least
talked-
I know me and some other people, I can't speak for everybody, but that's what we're wanting to do. And I guess I was gonna ask if I could quickly, cause him and I did attend, the first.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have two separate groups because you're accommodating parents who work during the day, which is what we asked.
Yeah.
My question is, am I still a member of the one during the day so I can attend both?
Yeah, we can definitely
Okay,
do that.
that's all I was wondering.
I mean, we're trying to meet everybody's
Yeah,
needs.
and we
Because there's a
know
lot
that
of
we
moving
appreciate
parts
it.
in this factor, as you guys already know, we've talked about it already tonight, as far as the procedures and everything changes on a daily basis. Minnesota's telling us this, somebody else is telling us that, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on. So we're trying to make everybody happy, because there's other people that may have different opinions than everybody sitting here. So we're trying to have that conversation, or, you know, let everybody talk. Go ahead.
I would just like to say that if we could just get the extra 2 minutes or whatever for open discussion, we could stop wasting time right now. Because we
Well, we can go into
wasted our
public comment,
15
but
minutes.
If we're gonna ask questions, then we'll have Ann document them, and then we're gonna go from there. But
Because I think it makes
I
more
would
sense if you
appreciate-
could hear us before you.
I would appreciate if we do the 2 minutes, get what you have, you need more than 2 minutes, I don't want like 25-minute dissertation.
There's no filibuster.
No, I want good questions, and at the same time, I want some respect, so we don't have people yelling in the background when somebody's asking a question. Again, we're here to listen, we're not necessarily here to make decisions tonight because we can't, as you probably know, because there are questions we don't know. And I apologize, I didn't get your email. I mean, if I get an email, normally I respond back. So especially if it would have been that situation, I would have responded.
The only thing I'd like to add on that is, we've been trying to follow this proper chain that we can find submitted on the website, or what we can find according to the school board rules to abide by, you know, we've been trying that, but obviously there's a break in the communication somewhere.
Well, you know.
So we're forced to be here now to do it.
Right, and you can always call me if that's the situation, you have my number, I'm sure it's in the phone. Huh?
Someone must work more hours than should.
No, I live here, I work every day, 7 days a week, somewhere, I'm working somewhere, so I understand. But you can always contact me I have a message machine at home, and I will call you back. The people that called me, I've called them back. So if you need to contact me, if you're not hearing back from me, or whatever, you know, let me know, call me. I'm not afraid to answer the phone and call you back.
I think the biggest thing is we just need more structure to this, we need some options. There's other families on the other side of the equation as well, and,
They should be here.
no, but it's a whole community. I appreciate all of your interest and you know, the passion behind our kids. I mean, I've got a couple of kids in quarantine right now, and they were near tears too. So, you know, it's a struggle. I mean, we're not having another normal year. I'd love to do that, but it's not the situation. We got to respect both the whole equation on this, and we can't just wing it tonight like, hey, let's 40 of us decide what everyone's going to do. That's what the open discussion on Monday is. We can schedule a special meeting, and just that's my piece.
But now you're another 4
Okay,
weeks
so-
out following no policy.
No, we're not.
No, what I just said is a special meeting.
Well, you have it, we have another board meeting in 2 weeks from today. It's not 4 weeks out, it's 2 weeks from today.
I get the urgency.
The meeting for, in the evening for everybody is scheduled for next Monday. If we had to have a special board meeting, then we would have it right after that, it's like 72 hours.
Doesn't a board meeting have to be
Scheduled.
publicized?
Yes, it
before
does,
can
there's
be
a
held,
certain
like,
amount of
so
time
many
that it has to be publicized. I know, am I
Was it?
correct in saying that?
The same thing could be
72
said about tonight.
So-
Deciding this, all of a sudden, we can't just.
Please don't raise your voice.
We're not gonna. Anyway, we'll go, does anybody else, we're gonna start, do you have anything else to say, Mary?
No,
We're gonna start
just
the
anybody that is
public comment.
welcome.
We're gonna make
It's not an official board meeting, it's just a discussion, just
That's Monday.
Monday at 5
5
yeah,
o'clock, yeah,
here.
right here.
So if we had questions today that you put down, would they be answered at all of
If
that?
we can get the proper answer by then, it depends on, you know, what all the questions are.
I think that's
I mean, they'll do what we can between now and then.
That's what I was confused.
We'll do is we'll go around-
Questions and then answers.
Special board meeting is a fair thing as well.
So.
No, I don't think anybody expects you guys to change a whole policy. I think it's more about hearing people out, understanding it's more than the contact tracing and allowing people to speak. But I appreciate, I mean, we can't take the whole evening either. I do get it. I think we all can be respectful.
Okay, and I appreciate that, so we'll go into public comment, I'll go around the room again, if you feel like you need more time. I mean, again, I may, oh yeah, so you have a motion to approve the agenda.
We did that.
Gene discussed.
Gene and I
Gene
seconded
made
it.
motions.
Now we're on to public comment.
Now we're on the vote.
Now we gotta vote.
Oh.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we go into public comment. So who wants to start?
I guess I'll start. So my question is who makes the call on having the school do these in-school tests? So my niece and my nephews are currently on lockdown because she had a bellyache, so she had to get a COVID test. Your COVID test machine or whatever you guys have here in the school came back with 2 defective tests, and it said defective. So now they're still on lockdown because now they have to go get a test. You know, we have kids who are not symptomatic, don't have anything. Like my son, he's on lockdown because he sat next to a kid who has COVID apparently. So now he's on lockdown. We can't come back till Saturday. So now he missed a full week of school on top of that. And unless he comes up with a negative test, if we have a negative test, he gets to come back to school Saturday. But if he doesn't, he can't come back till Tuesday. And not only that, I got called, so they found out at noon on Monday, this kid had COVID. I got contacted Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. as he's getting on the bus that he can't come to school. And the excuse was she couldn't get a hold of teachers. How do you guys not have teachers' numbers with this worldwide pandemic that's killing everybody? Why don't we have teachers' numbers so you can say, hey, or why she can't look on the file and go, okay, this student is in this hour, this hour, this hour, and this hour with that kid. So they can narrow it down. Instead, 8 a.m. Tuesday morning, my kid, as he's getting on the bus, is told, no, get off the bus. You don't get to go to school now.
So your question is, who makes the determination on?
Who makes the determination on these COVID tests?
And you can get that? Okay.
Please make sure you say your name when you get off, please.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brandon Olson.
Thank you.
Okay.
Who makes the determination on these COVID tests? And, I mean, contact tracing, I mean, I guess my only comment on that is we need to step up our game on that. I know there was parents that, with the football team, that didn't get contacted until 4:30 when all of a sudden their kid came home. And there was other ones that those kids went to football practice, and then when they got home from football practice, then their parents got a call like 7:30 at night. I mean, we're not that big of a school.
Okay. Okay, is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Who wants to speak? Go ahead.
Would you like me to stand up?
Sure, state your name, you don't have to stand.
Okay.
Don't even know.
Nathan Nelson. So I wrote down here some of my frustrations, concerns, and questions regarding our current situation with COVID and the related policies. I'm only here to try and bring attention to the issue and hope to be able to help work toward a change for the good of all of our kids. There are many policies that don't seem to make much sense. The school right now seems to be following government suggestions without thinking whether or not they make sense for our small school and community. Most of us like the opportunity for our kids to be able to attend a small school and not have to deal with all the nonsense that comes from attending a larger school. So here's why I'm frustrated and concerned. Both of my boys have had to quarantine because of a possible close contact within the first 5 days of school this year. The first ended up being for a day and a half. The second will end up being 4 full days. These are days without any option for instruction. I've been told the reason my boys have been singled out and had to quarantine is because they remain unvaccinated. There is simply no way to view this as anything but discrimination. The school is denying my boys their right to an education based on their private medical status. Is our school not an institution of equal opportunity? Let me also just say that neither of my boys have yet to experience any of the myriad of symptoms following their possible close contacts in regard to COVID. So here's some things that don't make sense. The first possible close contact was my 8th grader. On Friday night, the 3rd of September. He was not informed until Thursday afternoon on the 9th. That's 5 days of regular life and 2.5 days in school before he then must quarantine. Again, no symptoms following this possible close contact. Does that make sense? Don't you think that at some point, any potential damage has already been done? The second possible close contact was my 10th grader. That was on the bus ride to the varsity football game Friday night the 10th. He was not informed until late in the day on Monday the 13th. There was still time left in the school day, but he was told he could remain in school until the end of the day. If it's so important he stay away from others, shouldn't he have been asked to leave immediately? Along those same lines, there were other possible contacts from the same student that were not told until the next day, Tuesday the 12th. Here's another consideration from the same incident. If the possible contact occurred on the bus, where everyone has to wear a mask, why do they have to quarantine? Does the mask not protect them? If the answer is no, then why bother wearing the mask at all? And if the answer is that yes, the masks protect against COVID, then why the forced quarantine? Again, no symptoms at any time have been exhibited by my son following this possible close contact. I have to say I appreciate Mrs. Morum taking the time to call me back the other day after I left a voicemail for her. She listened to my frustrations and explained that the district is just following the guidance from the CDC and the state. She also explained that all the teachers are willing to meet with my students in quarantine to be sure they don't fall too far behind. So far, of the 5 teachers my 10th grader has contacted, 4 have replied and been willing to meet. One of the 4 never followed through and met with my son, and the 5th never responded to my son at all. I don't feel that's acceptable. Is this not an independent school district? Does the district not have the autonomy to make its own decisions regarding these policies? Wouldn't we be better off making common sense policies and decisions that fit our small school rather than blindly following what the large communities are doing? Given today's political climate and political spin on just about every topic, I don't think we can trust data on COVID coming from either side. I believe things aren't truly as bad as many would have us believe, but neither are things as good as others of us would hope to believe. The truth is most likely somewhere in between. And again, I don't really believe we will ever see the true data. However, perhaps our school can tell us how many actual positive cases for students and staff. And because of these positive cases, how many more have been forced to quarantine? Now for the real question, how many that have been in quarantine have ended up exhibiting positive cases of COVID? I would hope that our own district can provide unbiased data on this. Is our school overreacting? To be clear, I think anyone who is displaying symptoms should absolutely stay home. Has anyone considered that because of how ridiculous some of these policies seem, that there might be an increasing number of families who choose to hide their illnesses? There's a rumor that during the spring semester last year, there were numerous juniors and seniors who had COVID but hid it and continued to come to school. If that's true, it doesn't appear there were any negative consequences from it. I'm not saying this is right, simply that the world didn't end because of it. Forcing healthy kids to stay home is going to make for some exciting numbers to be sure, but is it necessary? Again, to reiterate, I believe anyone who is truly sick should not be in school. I think anyone who chooses to wear a mask should be able to do so without ridicule and bullying from anyone, staff or students. Likewise, anyone choosing to not wear a mask should be able to freely do so without ridicule or bullying from staff or students. And the same should be true for those who are vaccinated or not. There should be no coercion from staff or students one way or the other. It is a fact that vaccinated persons can catch and transmit COVID. Why are those who are not vaccinated being discriminated against and bullied by our school? Thank you.
Did you get the question there? Who, next? Who else wants to speak up? Have a question? Yes,
I'll
ma'am.
go. My name is Tricia Parrish, and I have a daughter that's a senior here, so I've only been in this district for 3 years. And I guess I just wanted to express my opinion and give you guys some information and hope that, we can get some answers with that. So, I'm going to start out with just, I'm sure that you're all aware that that children have virtually a 0 chance of dying from COVID-19 and are not known to carry the virus. Children that have been seriously affected had underlying conditions or illness. It's a myth that masks prevent viruses from spreading. The overall evidence is clear. Standard cloth and surgical masks offer next to no protection against virus-sized particles or small aerosols. The size of a virus particle is much too small to be stopped by a surgical mask, cloth, or bandana. A single virion of SARS-CoV-2 is about 60 to 140 nanometers of which is 0.1 microns. The pore size in a surgical mask is 200 to 1,000 times that size. Consider that the CDC website states surgical masks do not catch all harmful particles in smoke, and that the size of smoke particles in a wildfire are 0.5 microns, which is 5 times the size of the SARS-CoV-2. Wearing a mask to prevent catching SARS-CoV-2 or similarly sized influenza is like throwing sand at a chain link fence and expecting it to stop. There have been hundreds of mass studies related to influenza transmission done over several decades. It is well-established fact that masks do not stop viruses. Part of that evidence shows that the cloth face masks actually increase influenza-linked illness. Bacteria are 50 times larger than virus particles. As such, those virus particles can enter through the mask pores, yet bacteria remain trapped inside the mask, resulting in the mask wearer continually exposed to bacteria. Young children are also more likely to touch their mask to adjust it, remove it to eat it, or even put it in their pocket, and this increases their bacteria levels. There is also proof that CO2 levels rise in just minutes when wearing a mask, which means our children are breathing in their own CO2. Furthermore, the mandatory mouth mask in schools is a major threat to a child's development. It ignores the essential needs of a growing child. The well-being of children and young people is highly dependent on the emotional connection with others. Masks create a threatening and unsafe environment where emotional connection becomes difficult. Regarding testing and quarantining asymptomatic students, the CDC published an article in April 2021 that shows that a study they completed that asymptomatic people do not spread the virus. I would be happy to provide you with the documentation as to where I get these facts and information if you wish to have them to research yourself. As far as vaccines go, my husband works for Schwann's and has over 1,000 customers in several cities. Most customers or relatives or friends of these customers that have contracted COVID have been fully vaccinated. Some have also been hospitalized and are on ventilators, and some have even passed. Lastly, one thing that I would like to say, and this is on a different topic, is that math teachers should be teaching math, not their political opinion. Thank you.
So you just want to go ahead, right?
Heidi Olson. I just want to, if you guys can answer, if the board can answer, is there a teacher in this district that has a pride flag in their classroom? Can any of you answer that? If you can't answer it, maybe you should figure out what your teachers are doing in their classroom, because I, as a parent, want to know that. Teachers should not have political propaganda in their classroom. Okay, they shouldn't be displaying it. They shouldn't be teaching it, because you don't want the students walking around down the hallway with it on their body, do you? How would you like it if my son came to school with a Confederate flag on his t-shirt? I bet you'd ask him to take it off. Maybe he should come in and put a Confederate flag, a Trump flag, or maybe a Nazi flag on his desk. I bet hell would hit the fan at that point, wouldn't it? Okay? It's not allowed. It shouldn't be allowed. Everybody wants unity, but that is causing diversion. It should not be allowed. It's not okay with me. It's not okay with my husband. That is absolutely not okay as far as that it's personal belief, and it should be stayed at home. If my son wants to know about what that means, he can come to his mom and dad. As far as somebody being told, changing the subject as far as the COVID goes, if a child, why would the football team be quarantined, yet that student was in class all day with the other students? There is no science behind that. Zero.
You have a question?
Yep, Chris McCullough. Building on what she was talking about, I think really the question is, and this is something that's been creeping up, I know, in most people's minds. We're a small town, and we've been watching the news while there has been this overt fascination with critical race theory and critical race praxis. that they're trying to implement in schools. Not they kind of get around it and try to say, well, we're really not teaching that, because they're trying to say that teaching the theory is not what they're doing, which is just their way of getting around it. But we need to, I know that I could probably say most of the people in this town, and I've been here for 10 years, most people I know at least, if I want to teach my children about, anything controversial like that, it's one thing to mention it in passing in history or something. It's another thing to have somebody like that lunatic that was at the one school system over in California, who had Mao Zedong on his wall, who had the Antifa flag, had, and then another teacher who had a pride flag and told the kids to pledge allegiance to it. That has no business in a school at all. That's barely even something we should be covering at a college level course. I'm sorry.
And again, I like to hear everybody's thoughts on it. I'd like to hear questions.
But my question.
So then again, you had a
I'm
question on, is there? I don't know. We'll find out about it.
But I'm getting to that.
I don't. Okay, what's your question?
But my question is, how much? I mean, we're finding out things now because kids are coming home, and we're finding out, what are they teaching you there? What is the theory? What is this? What's that? And we're seeing the result now face to face because we've got the kids in the house. What are you doing? What is the administration doing to monitor this stuff? I mean, I know you guys can't go in, I don't expect Mr. Mangan to walk into every single classroom constantly monitoring for this stuff. But is this something that is going to be checked on and, that we need reassurance? We don't need our children indoctrinated. That's not why we send them here. We send our children here to be educated, to give them critical rationalization of what they're dealing with, so they can come up with their own assessment of what they should or should not do. Their morals are our responsibility, not the teachers.
So your question is on the.
So the question is, can we get a reassurance that there's going to be a more hands-on checking and making sure that this kind of stuff is never going to creep into the school district? I mean, because this is something that is dividing not only the country politically, it's dividing people along all lines: race, gender, sexuality, nationality. So we need your reassurance. Can you give us that guarantee?
So you're questioning the curriculum is what your question is. Whether it's curriculum being taught in classes, what should and should not be taught.
Exactly.
And I believe they talk about that during some time. But anyway, I'll have we'll document the question. Does anybody else have a question?
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead if you want.
Tanya Benke. I just want to second everything Nathan said. I very much agree with everything he said, but I have some actual questions that I'd like answers to. I'd like to know what expectations are teachers given to ensure kids receive adequate instruction during quarantine? Do they have expectations?
Can you say your name again? I'm sorry.
Tanya Benke.
Thank you. And how do you spell your last name?
Boehmke.
And did you get that first question?
No.
Can you repeat the question?
Sorry.
Ma'am?
I'd like to know what expectations the teachers are given to ensure kids receive adequate instruction during quarantine, and how you can require a quarantine and not provide instruction and consider that sufficient. I would also like assurance that no kids are given COVID tests without prior approval from their parents, as that's what was stated in the handout. And then I would also like to know what content is being shown to the kids during lunchtime on CNN 10. I know that they watch it every day, and I know some of it was related to the vaccines, and as biased as our media is today, I would like assurance that there's nothing political or medical being pushed on the kids during that time while they're watching CNN, because that's a daily event.
Is that all the questions you had?
Yes, thank you.
Pretty much kind of some of the same questions as far as the education. Sorry. The last board meeting, it was voted upon to have live streaming provided at the school's cost, taxpayers' cost, because we thought it would be a nice thing, yet finding out all these kids in quarantine that aren't getting any instruction at all. We should be more worried about live streaming our classrooms to these kids versus sports. And sports seems to be the priority, which is pretty annoying for a lot of parents. Also pushing vaccines from coaches to kids, having talks with kids, telling them that they need to be vaccinated is completely unacceptable. The coach is not our children's medical doctor. That's for us and our families to decide with our doctors. That needs to be off the table completely. Again, the statistics, as Nate mentioned, I'm extremely interested in how many school hours are being lost by these kids, what's being done to make up for it. Our kids have gone, almost a year and a half, 2 years now, losing on their education, and what are we doing to make up for that? So I would like stats on the number of quarantine hours, how many kids actually tested positive that were put in quarantine, and then also what we've done to rectify what they've lost on their education, and how we're going to fix that going forward.
Who would go ahead, ma'am?
Jackie Beeman. So I have a 10th grader that's quarantined as well. And I guess it's just frustrating because he's not getting direction what he should be doing. So my question is, the teachers could Zoom and stuff last year when all the kids were home. Why can't it continue when a few kids are home? So why can't they still in class stream for those kids that are home? And he wasn't showing any symptoms either, so.
No, that's a good question. And yet, so somebody else want to speak? Go ahead.
I guess I just wanted to say that I'm another person that agrees with everything that's been said. But with the live streaming, my daughter, her first day of school was this last Tuesday because she was quarantined due to volleyball. She basically, the first day of school, we made sure that she was online meeting with her teachers. None of them knew about it until like school time started, that they had all these students out. So it was basically a free day. The only class that did the live streaming was the AP history class, which she is in. Otherwise, she was having to follow emails and different things to figure out her homework. She's telling me the truth. She's stayed ahead of it and is doing well, but not all students are able to work independently like she is. So I think, yeah, that's a big thing. And this school is here to educate our children, and they're being kicked out of school for whatever reason. For a time being, I think the school is still required to meet their educational needs. I guess I don't know all the technical stuff behind live stream, but I would think it'd be pretty simple to have a video in the classroom, a camera like Mrs. Mathers did with AP history, and the children could see what's going on from their room or wherever they are on their laptop. I guess I don't know why that is hard to do for one teacher was able to do it like the second day of school. But and I guess the other thing, I guess what I think would be interesting too is to find out, just to know, and obviously people, the individual identities is private information, but how many kids did actually test positive in the elementary school and high school last year, 2021? And how are they doing today? How are they doing the week after? I think, when this pandemic first started, there were a lot of unknowns, but we've been dealing with this for quite a while, and I think we can look around in society, and especially in our community, and see what is actually happening and how serious it is. And I guess that's where we kind of just use common sense and maybe look at our situation, our independent school district, different than other schools. I guess I just wanted to point out too that in the Fillmore County Journal, where there were a number of schools that published what they had decided to do for their COVID policy for the year, Leroy Ostrander, masks, vaccinations for COVID, tests for COVID, contact tracing or quarantine of any symptom-free individual will be required. The school district respects the rights of staff, students, and families to make their own decisions regarding the health, including whether to wear a mask. The administration will be responsible to prevent and address any discrimination. Students and staff with any cold or flu symptoms are asked to remain at home until they are symptom-free for at least 24 hours. During that time, students will receive their homework assignments from their teachers and may be able to observe and participate in their classes online when they are in session. sounds like we can do what works for our community, I guess. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anybody else have a comment? Yes.
Ken with. I guess I'll start with a question. What is the administration or board's position on coaches or staff that are, maybe for a better word, badgering individuals to get vaccinated? So they may be, they're being told so they can stay on the team and continue games. Or if they are vaccinated, do they have that right to even ask that question as a teacher or a coach? And furthermore, what will the school district do about it going forward? Because it's happening. Every day we talk to more and more people and their students are coming home. Are you been vaccinated? Are you getting it? Are you intend to? Will you get it? You need to get it so we can continue to play sports. This is not right. Our children are sent here for an education. Now, be it vax, COVID, or anything, it's not an indoctrination place for the teachers or coaches to be putting their beliefs, feelings, or anything into our child's head. This is disturbing. And I would like to know what the repercussion is going to be by these actions of teachers and coaches. This is very disappointing and very frustrating.
Did you get that? Yeah. Okay. Did you have another question?
I'm collecting myself.
Well, I was just wondering, like, going off of what he said, is, I mean, I think maybe something we'd all probably like, I would assume we'd all like to know is how will that be handled? And then going forward in speaking with staff, whether it be teachers, coaches, paras, secretaries, whatever. I guess I'd like to know what are going to be the guidelines of the school and how they are to conduct themselves and what kind of conversations are appropriate with children. I think that is something that well, I know that that's something as parents we have a right to know.
I'm done.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions they want to add to the list of questions? Did somebody have their hand up?
I have public comment.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll stand, I'm in the back. I don't mind if I'm seen. My name is Amy Coolis, and I'm here to address the Houston School District COVID-19 protocol, specifically contact tracing. I'm asking for Houston School District to amend their contact tracing guidelines. First of all, Houston School District did not have to adopt or approve the Minnesota Department of Health procedures, which may seem stricter than the CDC guidelines, as they are read on the internet, as we see. Houston School District contract tracing is far more restrictive than other schools in this area. Recently, there have been students identified as close contacts, which we have now not allowed many of these students to attend in-person class here at Houston. You realize we're only 2 weeks into the school year. We as a community need to work more together during this time, even if policies have to be amended to keep all of our students and staff in person, whether they are vaccinated or whether they are not vaccinated. Quarantining students at home is not well for either their education or for their mental health. Please consider amending the restrictive contact tracing policy that Houston School District currently has in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody else have a question?
Jessica Schwambeck. I guess my COVID questions have been answered. I just have a suggestion I'm a nursing student at the Turbo. I mean, we're on quarantine. Our teachers don't necessarily Zoom with us personally, but if they just turn a webcam on so the students can at least hear what's going on, would be a huge relief for the students. I think they just need that interaction with the teachers just to hear their voice, if nothing else. And then there can be a time with each teacher to ask a question afterwards or email. I have a 4th grader on quarantine right now, and it's just killing her to be home and not hearing her teacher. Thankfully, she's one of my 3 that actually likes school, so she's fine. But the other 2 would be struggling horribly if they were at home. They just need, I think, that social interaction, not their parent, just a teacher telling them, even if they're just listening to the teacher talk all day and lecture, that's fine. That's what we do at nursing school. So, I mean, I was delivering babies online last semester. So it's just that interaction with the teacher and hearing them talk, whether they're communicating right with the teacher, it's just hearing the teacher talk. I think if they can just set up webcams in their classroom at the whiteboard, just so the kids can see what's going on, would help a lot.
Thank you. Anybody else okay?
On Almond, I'm asking to have the masks on the school bus reconsidered. When my two ride the bus, they're more than compliant to wear the masks, but the fact that over half of the kids that ride their bus are also in the same class with them, and they do not have to wear masks at school. I don't see a point to it. It doesn't make sense to me, and I'm sure other people too, but I don't see a point to have to wear masks on a bus. And I'm just asking it to be reconsidered.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. Nobody has any questions? We'll continue with the meeting. I appreciate you guys all coming. You guys know about the meeting on Monday. Again, I apologize, I didn't get your email, otherwise I'd gotten back to you. If you do have questions, send them in to Ann or somebody that'll make sure we all get them. And then hopefully we'll have some answers on Monday on some of the questions you had tonight. We'll see what we can do.
So do we have 2 meetings then you're saying? Superintendent Forum? 1 or 2? You were talking about people's shift differences?
Well, there's a meeting, there's 2 full bed meetings. She had brought it up.
Oh, okay, but the public forum or the parent?
The one in the afternoon is
5
specifically for them, so they have opportunities.
But administration would be invited as well.
They'll be there, yeah, she'll be there.
Will any board members be coming to that meeting?
I'll be there.
Thank you.
There'll be members of the board that are on the COVID committee, so.
And also parents.
I've got a question, is that
a
parent meeting that you had talked about previously, are we waiting till Monday night to decide whether to even have that or not? Or
No, we're having a meeting Monday. It's
right,
already done.
no, I know you're having a meeting Monday.
For the
but then
special
you-
board meeting.
You'd
Well, that'll
also
be
about a
discussed on
special
Monday.
board meeting.
That'll be
And
determined.
That'll be determined on Monday?
Yeah, because we can have one within 72 hours after that. So we wouldn't have to wait till the next meeting. It wouldn't be the next day, it wouldn't be at that time. What happens is, because there may be more questions at that meeting on Monday, so that would allow us time to get information gathered that if we needed to. You can't just have a meeting Monday and have a decision on Tuesday, because that wouldn't be fair to everybody. So there's a meeting on Monday. Hopefully we'll have some answers from these questions this evening. And then if, after the meeting on Monday, Mary will discuss if she decides we need to have a special meeting, whatever comes out of the Monday meeting, then that'll be determined then.
and the earliest that meeting could be would be
72 hours after that.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So if there's like a new proposal that the groups come up with.
Yeah, that would, yeah, that's all we'll.
Do you know what time the meeting during the day will take place?
I can email you, but it'll leave at 7:30. Not 100% sure, so I can.
You're talking about.
7:30 that same day, the
Monday,
regular
7:30?
COVID, the daytime COVID committee group.
This is what's getting confusing, because the COVID committee is being split.
But yeah,
And it seems like you're making a parent
we're-
group, and you have your
Well, we're doing that
administrative
because
group.
there's parents.
We'd
that
like to
couldn't
see
make
some.
the morning meeting, so that's why we're doing that. So they're having the morning meeting for the group, and then the afternoon meeting, there'll still be more people on both.
okay. And I just wanted to make sure that we're aware of the times of
Both
both.
meetings.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
I'm sure we'll hear you.
I'll get it.
Okay, so again, thanks everybody for coming this evening, for your questions and concerns. So, to continue on with the meeting, consent items, we have a motion to approve the consent items.
So moved.
Josh, a second?
I'll second.
I have a question on there. I noticed Superintendent's resignation of Travis Kingston. Do we have any feedback as to why that is? He was doing an excellent job.
Did you have an answer for that? Travis Kingsley, I don't know why he resigned, it could be personal reasons.
I mean, if it's personal, we can, sure,
Right.
but,
I did not read the letter of resignation.
oh, okay.
I don't know.
Was that it?
I will bring it up. It's basic. It doesn't say anything.
But he did do a good job.
He did an excellent job, and I think that needs to be pointed out. in the process here, if it's approved and everything, I think it needs to be pointed out that he did an excellent job while he had that job, because he had it for a few years.
Yeah, it's a resignation, though, it's not a letting him go.
Right, we
He
understand.
took it.
Right.
No, we appreciate all his time and effort in that, like you said, he did a really good job, so good group, so we want to thank him for his time. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Discussion items, staffing, requirements for the district.
Yep, so just looking at, we have quite a few big things that our district is the size of we're over 2,000, and we have some things with Mars. Judy does that for us currently. We have EdFi, which is a new system that's being mandated by the state. We have Infinite Campus. We have MC Cubed. We have free and reduced lunch, and I'd really like to look at realigning and dividing some of those duties off and making more to help support the district. So I'm looking for another administrative assistant to take on some of those roles. And I know that Region 5 did a survey of our district. Do you remember how long ago it was, that report? Yeah. So it was a while ago, but I'm just gonna tell you from my perspective, being an outsider coming in, I've never just had, Ann's doing a fantastic job, but I've never just had one assistant, even as a principal. And we don't think of ourselves as a large district, but with these district things that we are responsible for, we are a large district. So I would like to look at adding a position to kind of help support those district level things and release some of our in-person things. So that's what I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
When are some proposals going to be posted?
I just wanted to bring it up because it's something I haven't discussed to you about. So I don't have anything. Those are the things, when you come in with new eyes, like those are the things I see a need for. Like right now, I'm working with lunch duty and Infinite Campus and getting our new chef in and all these things. It's just not, it's not super effective. Let's just put it that way. I see some ways we can improve it. And I'll have to meet with everybody. This is just to get you guys in the loop, and I'll meet with the district staff and what we can do and how that would be streamlined, and I can bring a proposal forward.
I think the one thing is if it's with the online school, we have it's hard to share a resource between our local and the online. It's very clear if we have an online resource, then where the funding
but
comes
these
from.
things, it's all one person. It's one person right now that does that. It's not.
Is it extra work because of the online? Is it like half for online kids, or is it all for our kids?
It's all for all. Like Mars is what we get everything for, and we have to do that as a district level. So the things that I listed are all things, and this is how we get our money from the state. So these reports, just like there was one that was due yesterday, like they're due all the time for the whole entire district.
What Jamie's trying to get at is if there's
brick and mortar and then
if there's a way we could get funding from online to fund, and Gwen may have the answer to this, for somebody that does. I think we did this before, correct me if I'm wrong, Gwen. We had people that worked so many hours a week for online, so many hours a week for brick and mortar, or is that just money coming out of what we get?
We did away with that because it's hard to determine how much time is spent on online and how much is spent.
Right.
So they came up with the guideline that if a person is 100% online, they will pay through the program budget. If they're not, it's a district responsibility.
So I think that's what Mimi was trying to do. Like, if there's a way of getting that separating the two, where if you had two people and does brick and mortar only, and this person does online only.
But these reports cannot be separated.
Okay. That was just a question, I think.
Yeah, just from a funding perspective.
Yeah.
We just want to know
You have to submit it. It's all we are Houston Public Schools.
Right.
I mean, when we report to the state, that's what we are.
Okay.
And that's Summit, and that's everything. So this is everything. So you really think about our school district, we're 3 separate schools, or we're one under one district, and so these things that I just listed are district things. They can't be You don't piecemeal them out, they have to be all reported.
Understood.
Okay, no problem. Anybody else have any other questions on that? Thank you. Cleaning,
So when I originally put this on the agenda, I'm looking at, for those of you who've been down by our locker room, especially when the football season and volleyball, and they're all down there, doesn't have the best airflow. So looking at different machines to help clean that area. I do have, after I proposed this, I did find a company that we can get some of those machines for free before the end of September. So I was wanting to purchase one, but I found a company that's willing to give it to us for free with the demonstration next week. So
What did we do in the past?
Huh?
What did we do in the past?
We have evidently put up with the smelly smell of shoulder pads. I don't know.
It's a mix of BO and Axe.
Yeah.
You said-
Axe came out and they didn't have that people here.
So you're saying football stinks?
No, that's not what I said.
Yes.
Well,
Those of you who've been engaged know what I mean.
free's good.
Yeah, so I have a free, so we don't have to, I was gonna ask to move forward, so we found it.
Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, old business, item for discussion and approval, teacher master agreement, we talked about this last time. The agreement was what we discussed in our negotiation meeting, everything went well. So they've signed off on it, so we have a motion to approve.
So moved. I was second it.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thanks to everybody that was on that team, it went well, I think. Probably in the amount of years I've been here, that's probably the fastest we've gotten something taken care of, so. It's a good thing.
It helped from the state, give you what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Yep.
Live streaming.
So Kayla said, these are the school districts in our conference that are currently live streaming. One of the things you asked about is could it be free? So we could do a couple different things. The equipment's free, right? And the $4,000 a year is something that we could decide that, hey, we want to pay for that, and then they have access to everybody for the year, and then after that, then we could move next year via COVID, we can move to a monthly charge of $10 and $70 for the year. That's kind of up to you. We did have Dale kind of go over the pros and share with us, just because he had been here and he had done the streaming. And he really thinks that the best way moving forward would be to have cameras on the field and in the gym that are automated and do that tracking for us. That would help us out tremendously. So we just have to decide, we can put this out, and what the cool thing about it is if you, and Kayla can describe it better, but she's down at volleyball, if you watch the volleyball game or you go to our schools on our app, you can click right there and there will be the video for any of these schools. So it's really not that big a cost. If you think about it, it costs $7 to get in the game. You can watch every game, and you can watch, say you have, like my daughter's in Michigan, if I wanted to watch her football game, I could click on that too if I had the monthly, if I wanted to pay monthly. And like say you have a kid that's only in volleyball, then you can just pay for those 3 months. You don't have to pay the whole $70. So we could go ahead and move forward with the equipment. We just need to know, do we want to pay for it the first year as a district, or do we want to charge a fee to our constituents?
I make the motion that we should pay for it as a district this year.
Josh made a motion on it, paid for the year.
I'll second that.
I'll second. Discussion?
Yeah, I'm just, okay, so this camera, it follows everything. So it's all, we don't need somebody working it. So we need just somebody to turn it on, turn it off. Are we also going to do like band concerts, choir concerts? And is it capable, is it gonna be bouncing around looking for something to follow? Or will it just, it will work for that purpose as well, or?
I know that the one that I did when I was a principal in Caledonia, yes, we could do band concerts and whatever. That was, we purchased all the equipment. So that's something I can ask to see what additional thing we can add to it. I don't know that answer for you right off the top of my head. But yeah, I don't see why it couldn't.
I don't see why it couldn't.
So the
we're getting would be owned by this company
Yeah,
yet?
and tech and everything, no, I mean, we own it after, like, they take care of everything, like, the fee is the yearly fee, so.
Covers all the expenses.
Covers all expenses.
So we just hit record or on or something and stop, and then they make sure it's all
I
on
don't
the
even-
internet where
I
it's
think
supposed
she
to be?
actually just, it programs right to our calendar. So if we say on our school calendar, on our schools today, they will automatically start recording.
I couldn't do it for the.
Yep.
Yeah, I would really like
Everything
to
else.
have it for all activities. I mean, whatever activity we have in the
We
gym.
even did like graduation, we did baccalaureate, we did everything. And even summer league, we did summer league in Caledonia when I was principal. But this was before COVID, but.
So any further discussion? Yes.
I'd like to see moving forward that we could get it so that they don't have to get a monthly or yearly subscription, that we somehow are going to come up with
Funding.
money to fund it.
Something to discuss.
Well, Gene, you and I will have to start doing commercials.
So explain the cost again then. So, cause I thought that it was free, what Gene did. So if we pay the 4,000, then it's free for everyone to watch, right?
Correct.
Okay, so
Grandma,
Gene, you're
grandma.
saying
So do they
future
have to-
years, you want
Yeah,
okay.
for this year.
Absolutely.
Josh just made a
No, that-
motion to do it this year.
Okay.
Jane is looking, so that's something we can discuss during finance
Okay.
kind of meeting down the road.
I think it's really important for community building, for people to be able to log in and watch.
Yes, and they also, if it's, this means also if you have a grandma and grandpa that live over in New Ulm or whatever, they can click on our website too. Like if we purchased it for the 4,000, or if we pay this, then any of your family can watch it. They can share, say, here's our website, please grandma and grandpa, aunt, uncle, whoever, please watch my game tonight.
Further discussion?
Is it possible to even ask something about it? The only thing I would like to mention is that, does this company offer, if you're buying the subscription from getting their equipment, is there an add-on to add the classrooms to this streaming?
That'd be totally different.
Well, just asking.
We can ask a question, but I would have.
It would be something to ask that company if you're already spending
This
money
is
with them.
live streaming on the internet. You're talking about Zooming with a teacher. You wouldn't want everyone on the internet.
No,
in
live
classroom.
streaming a classroom.
Yeah.
Live streaming the
This
classroom.
is
What we're
on the
saying is
internet
this-
for everyone to
what this-
access.
Yeah, what this would be if somebody wanted to go on your phone and go to our website any time of day, whatever.
That's exactly what I'm asking for as well.
Whatever's being.
It's
live
called
streamed.
Asking for a private
What it
zone.
is.
You don't
What I'm
want
saying is-
strangers
So
in your.
somebody-
He's asking if they have another option.
That
Just
would
to
be a
ask this
different
company,
option, yeah, that would be something different.
if this place you're working at.
Okay, she's got a question. Okay,
So would that be,
motion
would that be varsity and B team or
All of it.
Should be any game.
any game at the high school?
Actually, Mary, would it be at the elementary school or no? Cause we do junior
I
high
think
in
it
the
would,
back.
I think your thing is listed the high school and the football field, so yeah.
I could ask what an additional one would be at the elementary, I guess.
Is this figuring 2 cameras?
One in our main gym and one
So it
out.
might be an extra 2,000 for another one?
Probably.
We can ask a question.
We can start with this and.
Yes.
Let's see if we can get done. Start with this. Okay, so we had a motion, we had a second, and some discussion. Any other further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Thanks, Jeff. Policies for second reading. We have a motion to approve policy 102, 406, 524. Everybody jumps on that one.
Richard and
Richard.
Arlen?
No, yeah, Arlen does. Okay, discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, new business, items for discussion, approval, proposed levy certificate. We're gonna do a roll call vote on this. Motion for this is to reduce the long-term facility maintenance revenue by $270,000 and levy the max for the proposed levy. We do the max usually every year, then we adjust, so. We have a motion.
So basically, if you scroll down to the bottom, if we didn't do it as he said and just said levy to the max, taxes, the proposed tax rate increase would be 36.1%. So what we're saying is we're lowering it to, it's still gonna be higher than we'll do, but it's 23% is what would show on the proposed. So after we did exactly what he
The
read.
finance committee hashed this out on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do the same, every year we do this when Al, goes through it and determines what we we don't wanna lose any opportunities for funding. So we propose this specific, that's why we go through it at the finance meeting. Like Mimi said, we don't wanna have it at 36% increase in taxes, cause we know that's not gonna happen. But we do this proposal tonight for the 23, and then before the end of the year, I think it's in December, right? Then we come back and make the determination that we adjust it. Now, for years, have we increased our, has already gone up.
We have
Much.
not, maybe once in the last 10 years.
Yeah, that ours have gone up. So we basically do this just for proposal.
Yeah.
So the people, when they see their taxes, it's gonna show the 23% for the school, but again, that's on your proposed taxes, not what actually is gonna happen.
Right, if we don't do it at this time, we can't.
Right. If we don't do it now, we can't do it later. Then they'll move it all the way up to the 36.1 and we're out of control then.
Exactly.
So do we have a motion to approve this?
I so move.
I'll give you the ordinance, please.
I did read it.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe he would want to read it.
Oh.
Harlan.
Oh, you wanted me to read
okay.
it, huh?
That's generally how we do it.
Just read what I read. The motion is to,
Right there. To reduce the long-term facility maintenance
Revenue.
I know, I
Okay.
didn't want to get ahead of her. Revenue by 270,000. And levy the maximum for the proposed levy. Okay?
Yep.
okay, so we have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mark. Discussion? Anybody have any questions on this? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, roll call vote, my apologies.
That's right.
Aye.
Gene?
Aye.
Tom? Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Okay, thank you all. Announcements, for events?
The bids for HVAC, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, but I believe it's on the 21st that they come in, correct?
Sounds right.
Yep.
From our last meeting, I
Okay.
believe that's right.
Yep, so that would be something coming up next week, just so you know.
That's it?
Yep, that's all I have.
Meeting and committee updates, we had a finance meeting, we just mentioned earlier. You wanna talk about it, Mimi?
Well, we went over what we mainly talked about. We talked a little bit about transportation expenses, but nothing major.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, I don't think that was all the meeting, you didn't have anything.
No, the transportation was the other thing.
Okay. Okay, feedback, agenda items, anything else?
Yeah, so I did want to just mention transportation. We do, so I reached out to a couple bus companies yesterday. We have a bus that is in need of repair. So I am starting that process of looking at, because we'll need to weigh out, is this bus worth repairing? We also have that rotation, and is it time that we move sooner rather than later if the bus costs? So it has not, I checked today and it has not been in yet.
What year are we on a service?
On the rotation, well, we kinda, remember we got lucky last year because of some funding that we got for getting to step
But
ahead of
yeah,
a bus.
on this one in particular, what year are we on?
I would have to ask what year we are on, for sure. There's two buses that went down, one was back, one was back today in service, and then one's still down, but the one that's still down is like a computer and like some bigger. So I wanna know what the cost is, I don't know where it's at in years of service, so, that's a computer. Stress me out. So then I also just reached out to my former district, and then also I reached out to Caledonia too, and then just what companies they've used in the past, because this would be my first time of purchasing a bus, so trying to reach out to some resources and see what we have available. So I have some feelers out, and I'll keep you posted on that. And I'll let you know the cost as soon as we get that estimate from the repair. And I'll ask that question.
Any other questions? Okay, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, appreciate it. We have a motion to adjourn? So moved.
I second.
Second. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you guys all. See some of you on Monday.
Thanks for coming. That easily gets $1,000. Because I've been there, done that.